everyone, Nightmare Nemo here, and welcome back to another edition of Let's Read Give Yourself Goosebumps. So, if this your first time, Let's Read Give Yourself Goosebumps is pretty much what it sounds like. I'm going to be reading through my adventure of a Give Yourself Goosebumps book. This time around, it's going to be Little Comic Shop of Horrors. Let's Read Give Yourself Goosebumps is my adventure through one of these books, meaning that I have 3 attempts to get to a good ending, and if not, then that's the end of the story. After 3 unsuccessful attempts, the story is over, and that's pretty much it. So, wish me good luck, and let's find out what's going on here. Okay, so I always like to read the back of the book because it always kind of gives you like a preview of things that will happen in the book, like different options you can choose. So it says, laugh at your own risk. You're walking through a creepy part of town when you find a new comic shop. Milo's Comics Dungeon. Dungeon is right. The place is dungy, dingy, and really dark. You can see the comics are awesome, but there's something you can't see. Trouble. It's waiting for you. If you choose to go downstairs, watch out for Milo the Mutant. He's got big bad plans for you. What? You say you'd rather stay upstairs? Not such a great idea, unless you want to battle the worst villains in the history of comics. Do you have what it takes to be a superhero? So that's pretty much it. And the first page, it gives you a little introduction here. Hey, you never noticed that comics store before. It's kind of dusty, but man, does it have great comics. If you check out the books on the spinner rack, you're spun into a comic book universe. What superhero do you want to be? Will the supervillains destroy you? Or worse, will you end up as an ink blot? If you follow the horror sign to the basement, look out, you'll find horror down there. Alright, but not horror comics. This scary adventure is all about you. You decide what will happen, and you decide how terrifying the scares will be. So start on page 1, then follow instructions at the bottom of each page. You make the choices. If you choose well, you make it home again. But if you make the worst choice, beware. So take a deep breath. Cross your fingers and turn to page 1 to give yourself goosebumps. So, unfortunately, or fortunately for you, I will be making the choices. So it's all on me if things go bad. I thought after school clubs were supposed to be fun, you grumble. You love comic books. And a comic club sounded cool, but it's run by Horace Grummacher, the dullest kid in school. And that's a very unusual last name there. It's almost like it was made up. How could someone make a subject like comics boring? Horace manages. He clicks his slide projector to a picture of a comic book cover. Here's the first issue, starring Super Doer. He drones. Today it's worth nearly $200,000. Super Doer? It's a terrible name for a comic. Click. And here's the first appearance of Ballistic Bug. This comic goes for nearly $20,000. As if any kid in this club can afford that, you think. The projector clicks again and a horror comic appears on the screen. Excellent, you love horror. Well, Horace can even make horror doll. This issue of the Seller of Scary Stories went for $1,600, he lectures. An ugly face sneers at you from the comic cover. Yuck, it looks like a rotten pumpkin with warts. You turn away and notice the classroom clock. How did it get so late? You run outside in time to see a horrible sight. You run outside in time to see a horrible sight. Oh no, you groan. The school bus is already a block away. It left without you. Oh man, that was always the worst feeling. I would have to get up early in the morning to catch the bus. And if I was like wasting too much time watching cartoons and eating food, like I would miss the bus and it would really suck. Thanks a lot, Horace, you growl. Because of his boring lecture, now you have to walk home. If you follow the same routine as the bus, you won't get home for hours. You decide you better try a shortcut. even though it means going through a part of town you've never seen before. Dun dun dun. You walk and walk along your shortcut. With every step you take, your book bag gets heavier. The area you're cutting through looks a little weird. The buildings are all old and dingy. The stores huddle together as if they're holding each other up. And the stuff in the windows is very weird. You pass a clothing store that seems to be selling Halloween costumes, even though Halloween is months away. And those dolls in that toy shop window, they look like vampires? You're relieved when you spot a store for vacuum cleaners. That's not what you think. And next to it, hey, a comic shop. You step inside. The comic shop is dimly lit. You can barely make out the comics on spinning racks. Beyond, in deeper shadows, are tables with row after row of boxes. These are the back issues, where collectors look for treasures. The owner stands behind a cash register. He looks familiar with his round face and warts, but you can't place him. Round face and warts. Kinda like a pumpkin face. So that was referenced. Yeah, so that was referenced on the first page there where Horace was showing a slide about the Solar Scary Stories. And there's an ugly face there that looks like a rotting pumpkin with warts. So that's obviously something's going to go on with the shopkeeper there. He grunts when he sees you. Kids. Well, who does he expect to come in and buy comics? As you walk past him, the store owner calls out, "Leave your bag up here." You scowl. Why is he treating you like a thief? Because you're a kid. That's the way it usually goes. I remember that. That happened to me too. They were like always like kind of watching you, making sure you don't do anything wrong. They don't trust kids. There's good reason for that. You think about leaving, but you like a rest from walking. Besides, you really want to check out the comics. Strolling around the racks, you notice the latest issue of Major Disaster. You bought it just a week ago. This guy has a sticker on it for half price. Walking a little faster, you start picking up comic books. Doesn't the owner know what these things are worth? The deeper into the store you go, the darker it gets. A pair of bookcases block your way, but there's little space between them. You see light coming through the crack. You squeeze between the bookcases to an open area. A dusty light bulb dangles from the ceiling. In its dim glow, you make out another spinning rack full of comics. A sign taped to the top of the rack says, "You think this is a library? Look, but don't touch, or you'll be sorry." You peer at the comics on the rack. Whoa, that's the issue of Ballistic Bug from Horace's slideshow. The comic's marked for $2. And up there on the top rack, is that the incredibly expensive copy of Super Doer? Then you notice something else, a doorway. Beyond the rack, metal stairs lead downward to the basement, you guess. An arrow-shaped sign points down the stairway. It reads Horror. There's also a tattered sign on the open door. You try to make out the faded letters. It seems to say no admittance. Trespassers will be glomped. Glomped. I thought it was glomped, and that's something completely different. Glomped. What's that? You don't really care. All you care is about making a tough decision. Should you take a closer look at the rack, or should you go down to the horror section? So we got one with just the regular comics. It's probably just clear superhero stuff. But the other is just like the straight horror stuff. So that's gotta go with horror because I love horror. So it's tough. It's like make me choose between two things I'm really passionate about, like superhero slash comics and horror. So it's just like gotta go with my gut. Gotta go with horror on this one. So going downstairs. You head down the stairs, but after your first step, the whole stairway begins to shake. It's as if heavy machinery is working underneath. The stair treads under your feet suddenly tilt, then crash down with an echoing mechanical sound. Glumph. Now you know. The stairway has turned itself into a slide. Your feet skid out from under you and you bang your elbow. You're going faster and you can't stop. You claw frantically at the slide, but you can't get a grip on the smooth metal. You don't even slow down. You just make a noise like nails on a blackboard. It makes a good blend with your screams as you zoom faster and faster, deeper into the dark. You roll, bounce, even tumble in a somersault. Then there's nothing underneath you. You shoot past the end of the metal slide and slam into a plywood wall. Then you thud down onto a concrete floor. Oof, you groan. That hurt. On your hands and knees, you try to climb back up the slide that used to be a stairway, but it's too steep and slippery. You just slither to the bottom again. Trying to stay calm, you gaze around. You're in a small, shadowy room. Its walls are made of plywood. An opening leads to a plywood hallway, lit by a single bulb. You walk down the hall. After a few yards, it turns. You find yourself in another little room. This one has 3 doorways. You choose the right-hand one to find yet another hall. That one zigzags to 2 more rooms, then a 4-way intersection of corridors. What's going on, you mutter? I feel like a rat in a maze. You know, it's just, despite all my rage, I'm just a rat in a cage. No problem, you tell yourself. I'll memorize my route. To make it easier, you decide to make only right turns. That works for the first 4 choices you face. Then you find yourself in a room with only 1 doorway, on the left. By the 10th choice, you're mumbling to yourself, trying to remember which way you went. This place is definitely a maze, and it's bigger than the basement of the small comic shop. You feel as if you've been walking for miles. How can that be? The next room you find is stacked high with old copies of the Cellar of Scary Stories. They're all the same issue that Horace showed you a slide of. The guy with a face like a wordy pumpkin is the series host. His name is Milo the Mutant. So Milo the Mutant was the shopkeeper by the comic shop. Hey, now you realize why the comic shop owner seems familiar. He looks just like Milo the Mutant. This is starting to get creepy. Then you hear a noise echoing through the maze, a slow scraping sound like a foot dragging on concrete. Someone or something is following you. What should you do? So we got 2 choices. We can either go back to see what's following us, or rather get out of there fast. So I don't. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna stop to see what it is, and then probably get eaten by it or whatever. No, let's just run. You walk faster, faster until you break into a run. At first the footsteps fade, then you hear loud clomping. It sounds as if there's a herd of elephants hot on your heels. You glance back as you go through the doorway. Ow, you yell. You brushed against jagged plywood. A 2-inch splinter stabbed you in the arm. Oh my god. That's painful. Gritting your teeth, you pull the splinter out. Blood stains your t-shirt. From several turns behind you comes a rumbling roar. Uh-oh. Can whatever is chasing you smell blood? The clomping sounds turn into a crashing gallop. You turn to run faster. Flinging yourself through another door, you find yourself in a long hall. You're running flat out, but the stomping feet are right behind you. One look over your shoulder and you scream. The creature chasing you looks as if it were sewn together from several different animals. It has the body of a shaggy bull and huge feathered eagle wings. Worst of all, it has the head and fangs of a lion. Hot breath ruffles your hair. The lion's roar deafens you. When your ears stop ringing, you hear a voice yell, "Up here!" You peer up to find a kid leaning over the plywood wall above you. He stretches out his arm to you. "Jump," he yells. "I'll pull you over." You don't need another invitation. You leap as high as you can, reaching for the boy's hands. Will you make it? Is luck on your side? Take a look at the hour hand on the clock. If it's close to an odd-numbered hour, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, or 11 o'clock, turn to page 43. If it's near an even-numbered hour, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12 o'clock. So, it's currently 5:02, so that means it's an odd number hour. So we're going to page 43. Looks as if luck is against you. You fall away short of the boy's reaching hands. Instead, you bang into the wall, then crash to the floor. You lie there, frozen. The lion, bull, eagle, beast clumps closer. It growls in triumph. The beast leaps backward suddenly, yelping in pain. It paws at its nose. What happened? Well, maybe luck is with you after all. You look up. The boy is leaning over the wall. He holds a slingshot in his hand. Try again, he yells. You scramble to your feet. The patchwork beast lets out a furious roar. Zing! Something flies past your ear. The beast yells again. Bullseye! Right in the snout. You leap again. A hand catches your wrist and hauls you up, but that lion creature is right behind you. Huge jaws snap hungrily just inches below your feet, but then you're safe on the other side of the wall. The patchwork creature roars again. It clomps off to the right. You stare at the kid who helped you. He's bigger than you are, and older. Who, who are you? You babble. What are you doing here? He grins. It's a long story. To start with, my name is Bob. You introduce yourself, but he's not really listening. That lion thing knows its way through this maze. It's going to find us if you stick around. What do you say we get out of here? Sounds like a great idea to you. Bob starts leading through the maze. There's more of us trapped down here, he explains. We've got kind of a camp set up. He gives you a long stare. I think everyone will be glad to see you, he announces. Very glad. Very interesting. And this is all like next to a comic book store. Very strange. Bob moves comfortably through the maze. In some areas, though, he motions for you to be quiet. You tiptoe along, and you notice that he keeps his slingshot ready. This maze is an abandoned some basement for the whole block. Bob explains. It's full of crazy mixed up animals, even has its own hunting ground. And you fight them with that? You point to Bob's slingshot. Bob shrugs. It's all we've got, he admits. I was lucky with the lion thing. It just hates getting hit in the nose. Soon, after a weird noise echoes through the maze. Shh, shh. Bob stops. His face turns pale. What? You begin. He shakes his hand at you. Quiet, he whispers. Bob seems to be listening carefully. You realize he's trying to figure out where the sound is coming from. At last he makes up his mind. It'll be here in a second, he whispers. Come on. He boosts you up to the top of the wall, then leaps himself. And misses. He bangs against the plywood. Then you hear a loud hissing sound. Bob jumps again, and you help him over. Get down, he whispers. But at that moment, the beast arrives. You freeze in terror. Now you know what was making that weird rustling noise. The creature has the body of a giant snake, but its head is human. Sort of. In place of hair, hundreds of tiny snakes wriggle on its scalp, just like Medusa. A hand grabs your ankle and yanks you down. Bob drags you along in silence through several corridors. Then he finally speaks up. Pretty awful, huh? That's probably the most dangerous monster in the maze. It wraps around you, crushing every bone in your body. Then it swallows you whole. Just like a real snake. Shuddering, you follow Bob. The angry hissing of the snake creature fades, but you find yourself glancing back every few steps. Anything that sounds like a scrape freezes your blood. You don't want to see that thing ever again. All too soon, Bob halts. Wait here, he says, pointing to a doorway. I'll get Russell. Who's Russell, you ask? And why do I have to wait? Russell is our leader, Bob replies. He decides whether or not you can join us. Until then, you're not allowed in our camp. He looks you over again. Don't worry, though. I think you're just what we need. Bob goes off, leaving you by the doorway. What the hell does that mean? It sounds very, very suspicious. This is great, you think. You're lost in a maze where giant snake monsters roll, and now you have to wait alone. Or do you? So we got two options. We can either follow Bob, which you're not supposed to do, or you obey him and wait. So, it sounds really suspicious, so I'm not going to wait. I mean, Bob's been pretty good so far, but I don't know, it just seems really fishy. I'm not going to hang around like an idiot, you fume. You step through the opening. Now, which way did Bob go? There's yet another hallway. At the far end is a room. As you scout around, you realize that this room is different. The walls are the same old plywood, but there's a trapdoor in the middle of the concrete floor. Your heart beats faster. Could it be the way out? You've got to investigate. The door is made of wood with a big metal handle. You grab hold and heave. The trapdoor flies open more easily than you expected. You drop to your knees, eager to explore whatever's down here. Now there's no way down. No stairs, no ladder, not even a rope to climb. Fog seeps up through the open trapdoor. As the misty wisps touch you, you shiver. You never felt anything so cold. Cold as the grave. We'll see. On instinct, you try to leap for the doorway, but it's already too late. Your muscles won't obey. They're frozen. The fog is all around you now. A thin film of ice forms on your skin. Dimly, you notice Bob and another boy peering through the doorway at you. You were right, Bob. It was a trap, that strange boy says. That kid was just what we needed. Better a stranger should get hurt than one of us. That's all you hear. Then the icicles on your front half pull you off balance. You topple forward into the dark hole. Sploosh! You plunge into icy black water. A swift current whirls you away. What's happening? You wonder foggily. Then you pass out. See, I knew I couldn't trust these guys. They just used me. Uh-oh. When you wake up again, the first thing you notice is that you're really cold. The second thing you notice is that you're lying on a metal table, surrounded by people in white coats. You blink. What's up, you ask? Where am I? The kid's alive, a man cries. It's a medical miracle. As it turns out, the people in white coats are scientists studying the ice in Antarctica. Imagine their surprise when they found you frozen into one of the icebergs alive. No one knows how you got all the way to Antarctica, or how you stayed alive inside your ice coating. For the next 2 weeks, you're poked and prodded by dozens of doctors. Finally, they give up and send you home. That's when the newspapers and TV stations start calling. They all want the life story of the ice kid, and they offer you big bucks. Soon you have so much money you don't know how to spend it all. Well, actually, you got a few ideas, starting with a trip to a comic book store. The end. So wow, on our first attempt, we got a good ending. Possibly like one of the best endings, because like we're rich now. But then for some dumb reason we go back to that creepy comic book store. It's like, yeah, I got all this money, and the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to that dumb comic book store where there's this crazy snake monsters and that horror host is the shopkeeper. Yeah, that's totally what I'm gonna do, right? Nope. Okay. So we explored what the horror part of the story is. So let's go back, since we have time, to find out what the comic portion is. So we're going to check out the comic book rack to give you guys a little bang for your buck in this episode, since we were so successful in getting a good ending. So you've got to see if that $2 comic is really the famous first issue of Super Doer, but when you grab the spinner rack, it starts to turn by itself. Still worse, the metal rack seems to have glued itself to your hand. You can't let go. Your jaw drops as the moving rack yanks you off your feet. You've dragged around in a circle, and the rack keeps speeding up. Soon, to your horror, you can't touch the floor anymore. It's some sort of weird carnival ride. The rack is whizzing around, and you're flying through the air. Just imagine, like, you're looking at this kid just like spinning around on, like his hands are stuck to the comic rack, and he's just like spinning around like, ah. That sounds hilarious. Hey, hey, mister, you yell to the store owner, but the words are torn from your lips by a screaming wind. You feel as if you're caught in a tornado. You clench your teeth to keep from groaning. Your body's stretched out like you're a warm piece of taffy. You shift your grip. One hand touches a comic on the rack. The comic starts to glow. Now suddenly there's a new pool. You're being sucked into the glowing comic. So this is pretty much Page Master. You remember Page Master of Macaulay Culkin and getting sucked into the books and such. So that's what's happening here. Your body feels as if giants have been using you for a game of tug-of-war. You're sick and dizzy from the spinning, but you notice something is wrong. The world seems strangely flat. The colors are very bright. You peer at an incredibly blue sky. Sky? Wait a minute. How did you get outside? An elbow jabs you. Someone steps on your foot. You aren't just outside, you're in a crowd. And what a crowd. You're packed in so tight that you can barely move. A person behind you is actually breathing down your neck. Could this be a parade? What's going on, you ask? No one answers you, but a voice cries, Here it comes! A shadow falls across you. When you see what's blocking sunlight, your eyes grow big. It's a gigantic tin can with arms, legs, and a head. No, it's a robot. I don't believe this, you gasp in a strangled voice. You better believe it. That thing is as big as a skyscraper, and it's striding straight for you. Next, you shout. Everybody run. You push, you shove, you try to get out of the giant robot's path. But the crowd is too thick. You're trapped. Hey, a whiny voice says in your ear. I know you. You turn and spot a familiar face in the crowd. It's a kid from school named Wally. Come to think about it, he hasn't been in class lately. Where are we? You cry. What's going on? You just got here on a Spinner Rack Express, huh? Wally asks. Okay, I'll make this fast. You're stuck inside a comic. In the comics books universe. You roll your eyes. Yeah, right. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. It's true, Wally insists. Now here's the deal. We can shift through comic to comic using a magic word. But if you use it too often, you'll turn into an ink blot, he shudders. It happened to the kid I was with, Alex. He tried to leave this comic. Now he's just a smear. You glance anxiously at the robot. It's awfully close. We'll be smeared too if we don't get out of here, you declare. The crowd isn't moving, and the robot is only a couple of giant steps away. Have you used these magic words, you ask? Wally nods. I started out in another comic. I was some superhero's dopey sidekick. And then I met Alex, and we came here. All I have to do is think of another comic and say the magic words. Okay, that gets you to another comic, but isn't there a way to get back home? Back to the real universe, you ask? Wally glances at you. I think so. A mad scientist can send you. We have to talk him into helping you. You can barely hear him. People are screaming and bumping into you. What are the magic words, you beg? Wally closes his eyes, thinking. Then he yells, a guest shot? And he disappears. You think of two comics you've been studying on the comic rack. Both of them have mad scientist villains. Will the magic words take you to them? Time to find out. You close your eyes. So we either go to the world of Super Doer, right? Or that of Ballistic Bug. Geez, this is tough. Let's just go with Super Doer. Okay. Guest shot, you yell. When you open your eyes, you're standing beside an office tower that's still being built. The crowd is gone, the robot's gone, you're all alone. This is bizarre, you mutter. A voice suddenly yells, heads up. Of course you look up. A falling brick hits you right between the eyes. Oh my god. That's painful. And wait, it bounces off? You goggle in disbelief. That brick should have killed you, but it feels like a leaf being blown against you. You look down at yourself. Hey, you've grown up. You have all kinds of muscles. And you're wearing what looks like purple long underwear with a big yellow SD on the chest. You're not only Switch Comics, you turn into Super Doer. Cool, I've got to find a steel bar, you exclaim. Can I really bend it with my bare hands? You glance around the building site. There's a pile of bricks, there's a cement mixer, and there's a bunch of these steel rods that they use to strengthen concrete. Exactly what you're looking for. You pick up a heavy bar, flex your mighty muscles. Yes, the steel bends, like thin wire. Hey, a voice yells. Glance up. A guy in a hard hat is glaring at you. We were going to use that bar, he complains. Now you've ruined it. You try to straighten out, but you can't fix that last clink. Then an idea comes to you. I'll just heat this up with my magma vision, you announce. You stare at the bent bar cross-side, the way Super Doer does in the comics. Sure enough, the metal gets hot, too hot. The metal of the bar melts away. Oops. Guess you need to practice with your cool new powers. The workman looks pretty angry, but then he's distracted by a sudden burst of crashes and screams. And another guy in a hard hat dashes up. Super Doer, he cries. Some horrible creature's trying to knock down our building. For a second you wonder what you're supposed to do. Then you remember. You're a superhero. It's your duty to save the building. You leap up and suddenly you're flying. Wind ruffles your hair. Your cape flaps behind you as you soar high over the building. You look down and your jaw drops. Just flying is incredible enough, but you didn't expect this. Something the size and shape of a Tyrannosaurus Rex is smashing at the building with its hands and tail. But the thing's scaly skin is made of shiny metal, and your cosmic ray vision shows that there's machinery inside. The creature turns its glowing glass eyes on you. You expect an attack. Instead, the robot dinosaur says in a whiny voice, Oh great, now I've got Super Doer after me. You skid to a stop in midair. You know that voice. Wally, you cry in disbelief. If you try to talk things out with Wally, or you'd rather fight him? It's probably Wally. That makes sense. You float in the air in front of the metal monster's face. It sort of looks like Wally, except for the size and the flashing glass eyes, the metal scales, and the giant teeth. And it certainly sounds like Wally, only louder. I can't believe that the first time you switch, you become a hotshot superhero, Lions. Guess I'm just lucky, you reply. But you shouldn't feel too bad. Being a monster is better than being a stupid sidekick. True, Wally agrees. It is cool being a giant monster. A huge hand flashes forward to pluck you out in air, because this monster gets to do you in. Funny, Wally, you laugh. Remember, I'm Super Doer. If flex your super muscles to get free, nothing happens. You're still trapped in Wally's monster's gigantic hand. Okay, so it's gonna just kind of screw me over. Oh, God. Wally, you cry. Why are you doing this? We're pals. Well, maybe not pals, but we go to the same school. I'm sorry, Wally replies, but the monster formula also makes me Tex Lasnor's slave. He told me to destroy Super Doer. Uh-oh, things are desperate. You give the Wally monster a blast of your magma vision. His shoulder begins to melt. Ow! Ow! He yells. I can't take this. I'm getting out of here. Get shot. But when he yells the magic words, Wally doesn't vanish. A ripple runs through his giant form. The fingers around you feel strangely rubbery. His face looks runny. He's melting. Then you realize Wally's time has come. He used the magic words once too often. He's turning into an ink blot. It's strained to break away. You can't get free. Holding up your hands in front of your face, you see with horror that you're getting runny too. Bummer. Your Uncle Mel always called you a little squirt, but now you turn into a big drip. So that's it for that. Okay, so let's go back and see what happens if we fight Wally. School pal or not, you're wrecking this building, you cry. Flying down like an arrow, you aim for the Wally's monster's nose. You already have your fist stuck out to deliver your power punch, but when you arrive, Wally isn't there. Desperately, you scrape your stop before you power punch your way deep into the ground. You whirl to find the huge, prehistoric space monster climbing up the building. Huge metal claws screech against the concrete walls as the Wally monster pulls itself up. The noise is about 10 times worse than the sound of fingernails on a blackboard, and since your super ears are 10 times keener than ordinary ears, it's downright painful. You better quit it, Wally, you warn. You're beginning to annoy me. I'm gonna have to smash you. Power punch. Or blast you with magma vision. The monster with Wally's face and voice reaches the top of the building. You get ready and jump. Oops. You still need to get used to your new powers. You overshot the building, speeding high into the sky. Spinning in midair, you charge back. The Wally monster has reached the top of the unfinished building. Your fist goes back for your power punch. This time you won't miss. As you zoom down, the Wally monster grabs a big steel girder that sticks up from the top of the building. Tearing the girder loose, he slings it over his shoulder like a club. Or, whack, too late, you realize Wally was holding the girder like a baseball bat, and is using you as the ball. You grunt as the steel beam strikes you. Even with your super skin and maxi muscles, that pack knocks the wind out of you. Wally's swing also knocks you out of the construction site. Tumbling helplessly, you streak towards the horizon like a line drive. You spin out of control thanks to the shot from Wally. Wind blasts past you, making your cape whip around until it wraps around your head. You're ready to bark from all the tumbling, and your cape is blinding you. Wait a second. You're Super Doer. And Super Doer can see through things with his cosmic ray vision. You try that slightly squinty look that Super Doer gets when he uses this power. The good news is that you can now see where you're going. The bad news is you're about to crash into a building, so we can use our flying powers to veer away, but we'd rather rely on your super skin and maximals to get through safely. Let's just fly out of the way. Oh, jeez. You have to be fast, very fast, to veer away from the building, and there are other buildings all around you. You'll have to avoid them too. There's only one direction to go. Tilting your body so it faces straight up, you pour on the speed. Up, up you go, faster, faster. Now your body is a mere streak. You soon pass the building. Whoa, you're really moving. In fact, you're moving so fast you can't slow down. The air is getting thin. The sky darkens until you're in the blackness of outer space. There's no air at all out here, but that's alright. Super Doer can hold a super breath. A second later, you notice something large and gray in your path. Oh no, it's the moon. Your super skin and maxi muscles might have survived a crash into a house, but the moon is a different story. Ah, you scream. Nobody hears you in outer space. The air simply gets sucked out of your lungs. You don't even have the breath to yell "gus shot" before you splat into the moon. Yeah, that's funny. So that is our second attempt. So we got one more attempt in the tank here. We're gonna go back, and we're gonna rely on our super skin and maxi muscles to survive the crash into the building. Kerwham! You hit the wall with a tremendous crash and keep on going. At least your cape is off your head now. Bang, crash. You smash your way through other rooms in the building, but your super skin isn't even scratched. Amazing. You thump through one more wall before you come to a stop. Time for a little payback. You rocket out through the series of holes you already made in the walls. Quick as a flash, you zoom back to the Wally monster. Pow, Bob, Biff. You unleash your power punching Wally. Hey, ow. No fair, Wally whines. It's not my fault. I didn't want to be a monster. Tex Loud Snore turned me into one. Tex Loud Snore, you repeat? Not only is the top villain in Super Duper Comics, he's also a mad scientist. Just the guy you need. We can trust that this super villain's mad scientist will help us. Why not? I'm sure he's nice underneath all that. You eye the Wally monster suspiciously. Why didn't you ask Tex Lasnor to get us out of the comic book universe? You demand. I didn't get a chance, Wally replied, sulking. The second I entered his lab, he got me with creature creator juice. Sounds likely. Go and turn yourself in to the police, you order. I'll deal with Tex Loud Snore. Leaping high into the sky, you head for the Mount Skull. Like, sure, you're like this giant metal T-Rex. Yeah, where are the police gonna put you? Got a special giant monster jail? Leaping high in the sky, you head for Mount Skull. In the comic, Super Duper never managed to find out where his arch enemy's hideout was. But since you read the comics, you know exactly how to get there. Minutes after leaving Big City with 2 G's, you spot a mountain shaped like a skull. You fly into the giant skull's left eye. It's a cave that leads deep into the mountain. 20 feet inside, your path is blocked by a steel door. With your super duper powers, you know you can get through the steel door and talk with Tex Loud Snore. The question is, which power should you use? Try to use your magma vision again, or test your strong breath. Let's give the magma vision another try. I think we can do it. Oh, maybe not. I'll stick with the power I've used already, you decide. You stare slightly cross-eyed at the big vault door, the way Super Duper looks when he uses his magma vision. Nothing happens. You try again and again. You stare so hard, your hand begins to pound. You're getting angry. All you see is red, but you smell something odd. Scorching paper. You remember the time you burned a hole through a comic book by focusing sunlight through a magnifying glass. The page turned brown, then it burned. Suddenly you notice that the flat, brightly colored world around you is changing color. Everything is getting brown. The sharp burning smell is growing stronger. Finally it hits you. You're in a comic book now, and somehow your magnavision has set the paper on fire. You suck in breath to yell, "Gut shot!" But when you inhale, the smoke sends you into a coughing fit. You can't get the words out. Flames crackle. Your body may be super, but it's only as strong as the paper is printed on. Is it getting hotter in here, or is it you? Actually, it's the end. So, that is our last attempt. And that was just for fun, because, you know, we already found that really weird, good ending on our first attempt there. It was like somehow we fell through the trapdoor, and suddenly that transported us to Antarctica, where we're frozen in an iceberg, and some scientists picked us out, and then they wanted to find out how we were able to survive for so long stuck in ice, like Captain America. That they did a lot of experiments on us, and we became rich because of it, or whatever. And then for some dead reasons, we're like, "Oh, we're rich. Let's go to that creepy comic book store with, you know, a downstairs area that leads to a human maze with snake monsters and chimeras, and the shopkeeper is the horror host of that horror comic, all kinds of weird stuff, and a spinner rack that sucks you into comic books. It's weird, yeah. I'll totally go there again." Alright, so that would do it for another episode of Let's Read, Give Yourself Goosebumps. Hope you guys enjoyed this adventure through comic book and human mazes with monsters and whatnot. It is a very unusual adventure, and very surprising that we actually got a good ending. I can't remember the last time we got a good ending in one of these books. It's been that long. But it's been a fun ride, so I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you have other suggestions for future Give Yourself Goosebumps books that I should do for the show, then let me know down in the comments. Or if you want me to revisit any previous Give Yourself Goosebumps books like this one or other ones, and just kind of see what other story paths we can take and what happens, then let me know down in the comments as well. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you guys in about less than 2 weeks for another episode. So until then, give yourself goosebumps. Bye.